What about my plans for the future?
This could ruin my life.
What about college?
How can I go back to church?
My parents will be so hurt.
Will he leave me?
Nobody cares about me. Or they sure won't now.
I don't love him.
I don't know anything about being a mother.
I'm only a teenager.
I can't believe this happened to me.
What will people say?
How did everything fall apart? I can't afford a baby.
He doesn't love me.
I wish there was somebody I could talk to. Somebody who would understand.
Nothing I've ever done has pleased my parents. What's one more mistake gonna matter?
I could just end this right now, and nobody would ever know.
My name is Diana, and I chose to have an abortion. You don't know me, but you see me every day, in the grocery store, at a football game, at work. In fact, you sat by me last Sunday in church. But I am silent, like the cry of my unborn baby. I drove myself to the abortion clinic. I sat in the waiting room, was terrified. Was thinking that this was my only choice. Choice. That's all you hear about. But they didn't give me one. If I had only known my baby's heart had started beating at 4 weeks old, that she was a fully formed baby at 10 weeks. But they didn't tell me that. No, they didn't tell me a lot of things. Like how this one choice would affect the rest of my life. Well, after it was over, I was confused and angry. Angry because I had believed a lie. I was 22 then. A few years later, I got married and I became pregnant with a little girl. And I remember that it blew me away the first time somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, is this your first baby?" And even though it had been 4 years since my abortion, it still took my breath away. And I hesitated and I said, "Yes, it is." But deep in my heart, I knew it wasn't. I mean, I felt like part of my soul had been aborted. I never told anyone about my abortion, not until 10 years later, when I called the Hope Line. It was 3 in the morning, and a woman named Vicky answered the phone. I found out later that she was a volunteer and that I was her first call. She told me God loved me, and she told me she loved me, and that God was waiting to forgive me, no matter what I'd done. No one had ever told me that before. We talked every day over the next week, and she got me enrolled in the Abortion Recovery Bible Study, Forgiven and Set Free. Yes, it's for people just like me, who find themselves in a place in their life where there's no hope left. But they show you that there is hope. Now I am forgiven. Now I am free. Oh, and by the way, during the Bible study, I met the best friend I have ever had in my whole life. His name is Jesus, and I will never be the same.
My name is Noreen. I never considered abortion. I wanted my baby more than anything. But being a single mother, I didn't have a lot of money to spare. I heard about the services my local pregnancy care center offered, and I thought I would ask them for help. I stopped by one of the centers because I needed a few baby clothes and some diapers. But they saw my real need. The need for a savior. They spent an hour and a half just talking to me. They cared for my soul. They loved me. That's what's made a difference in my life.
My name is Phil. 8 years ago, I paid for an abortion for my girlfriend. I pressured her into it. We were in love, but I wasn't ready to be a father. I made her life miserable. They said it was a little boy. You'd think after that long a time, you'd forget. But even now, when I see an 8-year-old boy, I think, man, that could be my son, and we should be playing ball together or something.
My name is Julie, and I chose life. I walked into a pregnancy care center one day, thinking it was an abortion clinic. They told me later that lots of women call or come by thinking that same thing. I thought it was a mistake, but it truly was the hand of God. It was a rainy day, a Tuesday. I remember because I had walked around in the rain for an hour, trying desperately to find some sort of hope, but I couldn't. I taught Sunday school at my church. My boyfriend and I were in the youth group. We had plans to go to the same college that fall. I told the receptionist I wanted to schedule an appointment for an abortion. I sat down and she explained to me that whatever I chose to do, God would still love me. But what he wanted more than anything was for me to have my baby. She said she would help me make a plan for me and my baby, and that there were lots of options for us, and that the center would be there for me. She made me feel safe. She offered me an ultrasound at no cost to me. There was something about her. I knew in my heart that those people truly cared about me. You can't fake that. She held my hand during the ultrasound. It was the most unbelievable thing when I heard my baby's heartbeat. Everything just stopped and I couldn't hear anything else. That sound was the most incredible thing I've ever heard. That did it for me. I heard hope in that tiny little heartbeat. I chose life that day and decided on an open adoption. I went on to college and came home to see my little girl when I could. When I saw the way her adopted parents looked at her, the way they loved her, it's hard to describe that feeling. But when I heard her laugh, I knew right then God had found me in my hopeless situation and turned it into a miracle.